it's time for a new project. This time it's going to be in acrylics. And you'll be very pleased to know there's hardly any drawing whatsoever in this. I've put a pre-stain on, which is now dry, and it was a pre-stain of just raw sienna. And so I'm going to start off with my 1.5 inch wash brush, which is the Aquafine watercolour brush, which, as you know, I use for acrylics as well. I've got cobalt blue here and lots of titanium white. A very simple sky on this one because it's more or less just a backdrop, because this is going to be a woodland scene with lots of foliage. I've done enough winter scenes now and snow scenes. Time to start and think about foliage. Springtime. That's cobalt blue and titanium white. Very, very simple strokes. A little bit more white into it now. The paint I'm using, of course, Dale Rowney System 3 acrylics. Very useful and easy acrylics to paint with. Lovely creamy substance. More white. And I'm not even going to mess around with clouds in this one, because there's going to be lots of foliage in this. Just a simple base wash. Cobalt blue, titanium white. And about 2/3 the way down. And that's it. Sky done. I'll just give that a couple of minutes to be tacky rather than wet. And there we go. Leave it. As I said, very little drawing in this. I've got my IKEA pencil again. Here's the drawing. And that's it. And now that I've done the sky, I've finished with my 1.5 inch wash brush now. It's time for my 3/4 inch wash brush. Again, Aquafine. And I'm starting off with a little bit of raw sienna, just raw sienna there. I'm splitting the brush. And my sky is still tacky, so as I'm going on with this raw sienna, I'm picking up the lighter colours at the base of the sky, which is nice. It's just lightening the colours slightly. And here and there, help it merge in, look, just by tapping with my finger. Bit of digital art. Just down. And now I'm going to introduce into the raw sienna a little bit of Hooker's green. Hooker's green and raw sienna mix there, look. And again, split my brush. And just stippling. Very, very simple. A little bit more down this side here. Now, a little bit, I'm going to wash my brush out well, and it's a little bit of Payne's grey there and cobalt blue mixed. Split the brush again, a bit more blue. Split the brush again. And at this stage, I'm just putting it in the base of the woodland, but also thinking about where the light is going to come from. And I'm going to have the light coming from the right here. So think about clumps of dark to the left-hand side of where the sun's going to come. It will make sense further along the painting. A little bit more of that here. A bit more blue there. Now, just with my finger, stipple in a little bit. Sorry, not stipple in, tap on. Start to shape the dark side of the trees. And now to my rigger brush. Again, it's another Aquafine brush, my number 4 rigger. And here I've got a little bit of raw umber and a touch of Payne's Grey. And just drag downwards, look. Raw umber and Payne's Grey. Dip in again, because everything is still wet, so I'm picking up undercolours as I'm going on with this. So if it lightens it too much, just dip into the paint again, keep it stronger. And straight away when you get these bits in, it gives you the feel of the woodland, because it's making sense of all that mush that I've put on before. Mush, that's another technical term for you. And you don't need to paint millions of tree trunks or twigs. Just a few will tell the story. Now, just with my finger again, merge in a few bits here and there. Look how easy that comes together. Now I'm going to have a little bit of Hooker's Green again. Hooker's Green and yellow ochre, Hooker's Green and raw sienna, but a little bit stronger than I used it last time. Hooker's Green, a lot of raw sienna. And we'll have a few bits in the base of that look. Bit of undergrowth, bushy bits. And now again, a little bit of dark underneath some of those bits of lighter stuff. This time, Hooker's Green and burnt sienna. Incidentally, the Stay Wet palettes, if you haven't already got one, get yourself one, because they save you a lot of paint that you don't waste by having to throw it away at the end of the painting. Because as we know, acrylics dries up very quickly in your palettes. Stay Wet palettes, just keep it on the go for weeks and weeks and weeks. And now a little bit of Naples yellow. But what I'm doing, I'm splitting the brush, watch, on my smog. Split it. I've done that to it. And now dip in to the Naples yellow. See? Nice and light there. A little bit of that here as well. And again, tap on with my finger. And I'll leave that to dry a little bit more, just for a few minutes. Now before I go any further with this, I want to get a few patches of sunlit grass and stuff in between here before I put more trees on. And I want to get that path done. So I'm starting off with a little bit of raw sienna and my 3/4 inch brush again. Just raw sienna there, look. Snaking it forward as I come into the foreground here. Leaving little bits of my understaining showing through. Now, a little bit of raw umber. A few touches of that as well. And finally, a little bit of Naples yellow as well. All in the path. A little bit stronger there in the distance. Now, just with a clean damp brush, I'm going to stroke over and merge some of those, like so. But I'll leave it in the distance there. And that will do to start with on the path. Now some grasses, a little bit of hooker's green and raw sienna. Have a little bit of that down here. Up to the path. And again, it's all with my 3/4 inch flat brush. Now, a little bit of Naples yellow. Good and strong. Put that in there. And a little bit of that on top of here as well. I've kind of got in mind what I'm going to do with the trees, so I'm aware of where I want to have the lighter greens. Now, hooker's green and Naples yellow mixed. Up to the edge of the path there. And a little bit of that in there as well. Now just merging slightly there, look. Softening the edge where it meets the path. And now I'm changing brushes to my number 8 round brush this time. That one. Number 8 round. Again, Aquafine. I'm starting off with a little bit of raw umber and quite a bit of Payne's grey into this, but it's really quite dark. start off about there. Dragging upwards. And you notice what a lovely fine line I can get with a number 8 round brush. Brilliant brushes these. I have another one there next to it. And again, lift off, get a finer line. And another one here. And bringing upwards. Now a few boughs coming off. Don't fiddle about with millions of twigs. All this lot's going to be in full foliage. So if you start and paint millions of twigs, you're going to cover them up afterwards, so you just wasted all your time. And a couple more there as well. Press on harder, get a broader stroke, lift off as I come further up, get a thinner stroke. And now I'm going to go into that lot with my rigger brush and just Payne's Grey. So that our darker side down here, look. And coming up here. A rigger brush, flicky little bouncy thing, and a lot of people are very scared of them. Don't be afraid of it, they're fabulous brushes, especially for twigs and fine lines in general. But don't hold it at the end and try and control it. Hold it further back. Let the thing do its job and bounce around a little bit. And a few more bits up here. And again over here. Keeping this, you notice, always to the left hand side, because I've got my light coming from the right. It would be on the other side if I'd got my light coming from the left. Obviously. And again down here. And now I'm going to put a little bit more water into that Payne's Grey, and we'll have a few dancing about bits, look. Dancing about bits, I know what I mean. Create a few twigs. Just let the brush dance around on the paper. A little bit more water. I'm putting more water into the brush so it flows out of the brush better, because a number 4 rigger brush is a very fine brush, not a lot of hair in it. Therefore, if you have the paint too stiff, you're not going to get this effect. So just put a touch more water into it and just let it dance around. Look there. Now, finally on those, a little bit of Naples yellow. And guess which side this is going to? You've got it, right hand side. And instantly, the Naples yellow catches the light. Now, just with my finger, smooth in a little bit. A bit over here as well. Smooth in. And likewise on these. And now, because we've got these trees good and strong here in the middle distance, because this is still middle distance, you'll see how it sets back all the other stuff behind that we painted before. Easy, isn't it? Now, back to my 3/4 inch brush and foliage on these. These are quite close up now, so you will tend to faff about a bit with the foliage. Don't start painting individual leaves. Again, hooker's green, put that there, and a lot of raw sienna. And all I'm doing is with the side of my flat brush, my 3/4 inch brush, tapping on. And more over here. I'm going to have several shades of green in this lot. And incidentally, already, look how many different greens I've got going on in this painting. All with hooker's green. Hooker's green is such a useful colour. You've got all the greens you want by taking your hooker's green and mixing it with every other colour you've got in your palette. Got loads of greens. Now, a little bit of, that was hooker's green and raw sienna. Now I've got hooker's green and burnt sienna. Pop a bit of that over here. But it's a much darker, richer green now. I'm sticking this mainly to the left hand side again. Amazing what you can do with a big brush. Not fiddling about with little bits and pieces. Finally, that lot, a little bit of Payne's grey. Underneath some clumps, and mainly to the left-hand side, of course. I said finally, I didn't mean finally, of course. Because after that, we've now got Naples yellow. And let's have some bits of Naples yellow in that lot as well. Stippling. Now that Naples yellow looks a bit stark and standing out there, but it won't once I get in with my finger and tap. Don't rub it, tap it. Squash some lumps. Always a nice effect when you smooth it in. There. Now, this is dry. Well, more or less. Probably a little bit tacky, but not really. There. And that needed to be dry because this next bit is very scary. But don't be afraid. It'll be all right at the end. Because what I've got here, a little bit of titanium white and a little bit of, I've just squeezed out some more Naples yellow because I was just running short of that. Naples yellow and titanium white mixed. There. And I need plenty of water for this. Look, plenty of water going in here. There's some more in there as well. Because what I'm going to do, I can't believe I'm going to do this. Just big strokes. And that's sunlight coming through trees that are out of shot here. But we're going to have a big tree in the foreground as well here in a minute. There, I'll do the start. Now I have again raw umber and Payne's grey mixed, and back to my number 8 round brush. A little bit of water so it flows, and about here. Big tree coming up. Up and then split. All the way out to the top. Look. And now, once I get this in really good and strong and taking over, you can see how that light is coming in behind the tree. And we'll have another one there, I think. And we shall have another one of those over this side, about there. Again, good, big and thick. And drag it upwards. You've got to be brave to do something like this, but don't be afraid of it. If it goes wrong, just paint over it with white and start again. But it's being brave and getting that strength of colour on that makes all the difference to a painting. And even though those trees in the middle distance, when we did them, appeared quite detailed, now, even so, they fall further back into the painting. Again, Payne's Grey. Just Payne's Grey. To the left-hand side of these tree trunks. Notice I'm twizzling the brush around. Twizzling, a new technical term. Twizzling the brush around there. Getting a bumpy effect rather than too smooth. These are tree trunks. Get a bit of character into them. And just dragging down. But nice and strong. All the way, it's nice and strong. And you see the strength of colour you can get from these System 3 acrylics. Again, like I said, Dale Rowney, System 3 acrylics. And they're not expensive paints. These are on my website. Well, you should know, you're all members. On the website, these are £2.70 a tube. They're for nothing. Likewise over here. Bumpy bottom. And a little bit stronger just down there. And now with my rigger brush, still with Payne's Grey, just Payne's Grey. But like I said before, a little bit more watering with the rigger brush. And a few bits coming off of these here. A bit more water. water. And just let that brush dance around on the canvas. This canvas, by the way, is again Dale Rowling stretch canvas, and it's a 16 by 12 inch canvas, this one. And again, you can see the light behind that now. Those streams of light that I put in. And finally, on here, underneath, a little bit of Naples yellow again. But this time, look, still with my rigger brush, I'm loading the brush flat, like so, and tap on. Very much an oil painting technique, that one. A few bits coming off here as well. Oops. And again, with my finger, just stroke downwards. Look. And let's not forget, we're going to have a lot of foliage on this lot, so don't fiddle about too much with it for too long. Plenty of light in the bottom of that tree trunk. And again, I was about to finger in this one onto the Naples yellow, and then I suddenly realised that I hadn't actually put the Naples yellow on there yet. And again, in with my finger. Just gently stroking downwards. And now it's time for foliage on that lot. This time in this foliage, I'm going straight in with good, strong, rich, chunky green. Hooker's green and burnt sienna mix there, look. Split my brush, like so. And again, a bit more of the mix. Hooker's green, burnt sienna. I'm just going to move the top of the easel there so I can get in there. Now, a little bit of Payne's grey. Just Payne's grey, still with the 3/4 inch brush. Nice and dark there, look. Obviously that green mix is still wet, so if I like the Payne's grey too much, I'm dipping in to keep it nice and dark. And finally, a little bit of Naples yellow on that lot as well. I want too much Naples yellow, a couple of bits there. And a few bits in here. Now tap. There, that's all the trees done. And now it's time for some grasses at the bottom, grasses at the bottom. And I'm still using my 3/4 inch wash brush, flicking upwards, look. See that? That's a grass stroke. Stippling on a few flicks here and there, and the rest stippling. Coming up to the edge of the path. Leaving bits of the undercolour showing through. And some of that down here as well. And again, flicking up. Up to the edge of the path again. Once we've done these grasses, all we've got to do is a load of shadow. Easy bits. Again, leaving bits of the undercolour showing through, the understain. Now, I want it slightly lighter, so this time, Hooker's Green and Raw Sienna. A lot of Raw Sienna. Of course, when I said slightly lighter, I meant a lot lighter. Bit of that there as well. Bit more Raw Sienna, I think. And that's better. And some of that across here as well. And to the edge of the path there. So simple, just do that. Now a few bits of Naples yellow. I've still got more to do here, but getting those lighter colours in first and behind. A little bit of Naples yellow. Think about where these rays of light are coming in here. So we'll lighten up the grass there and there. A little bit here. Oh, a couple of touches down there as well. A bit there. Just a quick tickle with my finger there to merge in slightly. Now back to this dark green, the Hooker's Green and burnt sienna mix, but even darker, stronger, more burnt sienna into it and less water into it. So there's my green look, and there's my burnt sienna. Lots of it, and that beautiful dark rich green. Now, more flicks, look, there. some more of that here as well. There's one thing, when I'm dead, all my paintings, there'll be plenty of my DNA in them. Of course my finger's always in there. I think it'd be nice to have a grassy bit coming down the middle there. Flicking up again. Don't like that bit. You see, I didn't like that bit, so I've just smudged it out. Now, a little bit more maple yellow on top of that there. Look. Always cover your mistakes. Now, one last thing, and that's some shadow. So it's back to my 3/4 inch brush again. And what I've got here, a little bit of cobalt blue, a little bit of crimson. So I've made that purple. Now tone that down, sorry, darken that up a little bit more with Payne's Grey. So that's Payne's Grey, cobalt blue, and crimson. And whatever's casting the shadow, touch it first, look, there. Touch that tree. Now bring that down. And across. Then I'll put a little bit more there as well. With a shadow from those in the distance there. Have a tree out of shot here. Want some more crimson in that actually. Have some more there. And just spread that shadow around a little bit. Because of course your foliage is going to cast shadow as well. Now, where the grass meets the path, there's some shadow there as well. And once I've put that line in there, now just with my finger, stroke it into the path. Soften a little bit there. And that, my friends, is that one done. And there we go. Not that difficult really, was it? And no drawing. Well, apart from a path. But, you know, just bear in mind all the way through the painting what you want to happen. And the main important thing is where do you want your light to come from? And make it your painting. It doesn't have to be identical to that, but there's a few ideas for you to try. The brushes I've used, but I only use 4 brushes. And they're the Aquafine brushes, 1.5 inch flat, 3/4 inch flat, number 8 round, and my number 4 rigger. That's all the brushes I ever use, whether it be for watercolour or for acrylic. And the acrylic paints that I'm using are the System 3 paints. And these are about, yeah, I think these are these £2.70?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm being informed by the boss that these are £2.70. And the brushes, they're 19 quid for all 4 of them. You can get them individually, obviously, but for the whole set, it's only 19 quid. Hope you enjoyed that. Give it a go. Bye-bye.